Hello everyone, and today we're going to take a look at some British World War II and World War One water bottle carriers. Well, really World War One and World War II water bottles, and mainly a lot of 1937 pattern water bottle carriers. As it seems, I now have one carrier of each. This ain't going to be an extensive list, as I do not have all the Commonwealth examples. These are all primarily British examples. But first of all, we're going to actually talk about the early water bottles that were used and the different marks. So what we have here, we have a Mark 6 water bottle on the left, and on the right we have a Mark 7. What differentiates the two is that, as you can immediately see, that this is in blue enamel. This is in, you can't see it well, but this is in green enamel. These are both done up in the same way as each other. So if I actually move this one out the way just for a minute, as you can see, it's a simple cork, like so, that has a screw, a nut, of course the cork itself. This one's got a little bit of paper on. I guess you could call it the keeper. And of course you've got this piece of, it's not really supposed to be a piece of steel. If I actually grab the other example, it's actually more supposed to have a string. Now of course I don't know much about because, well, I know a lot about these, but now if you were to ask me break down each specific part, I'm just going to summarize it. I believe it's actually the War Office, that's it, done a full-length video talking about the evolution of the enamel water bottles and its carriers, to which I'll actually leave that video in the description and in the comment section in the pinned comment. But basically, this is the body. Here we have the neck, and then there we have the little loop. Now, you're supposed to have a piece of string that goes around that and onto the loop, like that. So of course, when you take the cork out, instead of like dropping it like that, you could lose it. It will just hang off the bottle. But either way, so the blue enamel water bottle was used sometime in the early 20th century. I believe, I cannot pinpoint the exact date, but this was used in the early 20th century. And it was used right all the way through World War One and into World War II in some stages. This one here, the green enameled, there's some fluff on it. This is the one that you would most commonly see being used during World War II. But however, in the early war period, not talking about 1939 to be instant, because in 1939 the BEF did not carry water bottles on them. As you can see, there's this one has a different style loop, as I believe this one's actually built onto the neck. Either way, as I was saying, you would also find in some photographs a much more earlier pattern of water bottle, which was not made out of enamel. It was actually made out of aluminium, but however they were quickly scrapped, as the aluminium was needed for aircraft and stuff. The cork on this one's a bit naff, but it's still holding up its shape. Of course, you do have a different, I guess you could say, like, nut. It's much more square. Of course, you won't find all the felt intact on some of these. Reason being is because I believe moths like to actually eat the felt. But either way, that's the differences between the Mark 6 and the Mark 7. So now let's actually take a look at some carriers for the 1937 pattern web equipment. The first carrier we're taking a look at is the most infamous one, that being the skeleton water bottle carrier. So it's a skeleton because obviously it's got all these different webbing straps. So you've got a 1-inch strap that goes all the way around, like so, and I believe these are 1/4-inch straps, I think. Don't correct me if I am wrong. And of course these are all secured on the top via a press stud. Of course this design was actually used in the early in 1919 pattern. So what would actually happen is you would have the male section of the press stud here, this female part right here. This would come all the way down on an extra strap, be fastened on the front. So like I said, so these ones are particularly a pain to get out. This one's actually not too bad. As you can see, this is the blue enamel one. And of course all the felt is not in the best condition. I mean, especially look at that right there. The moths have definitely had a feast using this. But as you can see, it still sports. But of course it has the loop there. Of course this one's a complete blue enamel. I do need to clean up some of the metal work on the actual corks themselves. But either way, I've already talked about the bottles. This is the carrier itself. So as you can see, it's got brass. And like I said, the press studs, or press stud, so it can be done up on the top. And then of course you've got this piece here. This is the bit where it actually goes along the, so you'd have this facing outwards, this would go along the body. Funny enough, this one, so manufacturing wise, this one is actually a post-war made one. As you can see, this one was made in 1953. Unfortunately, the manufacturer is unknown. But of course, in the post-war ones, you actually have a catalogue number, which of course, the catalogue number is that, and then AA, and then the actual number itself. So you have, so the catalogue number for water bottle carriers are 0576, or for the skeleton ones. If you want to know more about the water bottle carriers and the store codes, leave a link to Kharkee web and actually the page for the water bottle carriers themselves. But other than that, so the first one's actually a skeleton, but a post-war skeleton carrier. So now what we will do is actually move on to some wartime examples. Now we've got some wartime examples coming up. This is one of them. This is something that was referred to as the other services carrier. So this would be used by transport drivers, medics, and a few others. And the way we can differentiate it between the skeleton one is that, first of all, there is no press stud on the top. And as you can see, it's the same as the skeleton one, but of course you do have a strap running up the middle. Like I said, not secured by a press stud. This one, cannot tell what type of loop it is, because you can always tell by the loop on here. I don't want to do too much with it. Then again, this is old string. I can't tell. But either way. But as you can see, you've got this this strap done up by, or being held by this D-ring, goes all the way around, like so. And you've got this buckle right here to adjust it. This one's actually made from shieldized steel. I believe that was normal during World War II. We'll actually take a look at the date on the inside of this, because before, I believe it was 1943 or 1944, all webbing would be made in shieldized steel. I believe after post-war they returned back to their original manufacturing, so that being brass. And as you can see, there's a good example of the D-ring without any rust on it. So what we shall do is actually take this out of its carrier. Blinking feather. Same old water bottle carrier. And actually the manufacturing stamp's on the bottom, so we can actually read this. This one was made by MW&S Limited, 1943. So MWNS, Martin Wright and Sons. So 1943 is the date, I believe the date when they actually changed it over to Sheridai steel. Other than that, it's not bad, not bad. And if I can actually get the carrier back in. Fortunately, no catalogue number on this one, but then again, Kharkee Web has the catalogue numbers and stuff. And so there is the other services carrier. Now here we have the sleeve type carriers. I could say sleeve because that's actually what they are compared to a skeleton one like this. This is way more cheaper to produce, as it's actually just one thing of webbing, unlike this where you have to cut out each section. So these are both sleeve type carrier. We have a short and we have a long sleeve carrier, which is quite interesting. So yes, short and long sleeve carriers were made. Of course, you do see in pictures as well. But I think in some of the pictures I saw in Italy, one soldier is actually carrying mess tins in one of these, or it's either the skeleton carrier. Not sure. But either way, so actually we'll take a look at the short sleeve. So as you can see, it doesn't cover the bottle all the way, just covers it most of the way. Take it out. These are really easy to get in and out. You might have just seen there. What's the manufacturer? Here we are. Manufacturer. Unfortunately, the manufacturing stamp is not clear. But then it could be something C. So I don't know who that could be. But then there is a date of 19. Possibly it's 19. It looks like 1941 on the camera. I don't know. There's actually the number. I believe that's the soldier's service number on the back. But either way, very nice. Actually, I'll keep the water bottle out just for a minute, as we talk about the next one. So like I said, this is the full sleeve one. And the way it is right now, this is actually how, I believe how the carriers were actually stored, completely flat, with this 1-inch section of webbing on the top, like that. So you've got brass buckles. Once we open it up, this one's got a very good date stamp. This one is dated by MWNS 1942, so like I said, MWNS, Martin Wright and Sons. So open up, open it up. That is the way you're supposed to open up. Now just note, you're not supposed to put a water bottle in like that, because of course there's not enough room for the cross straps to actually buckle on. So if you have it like that, it's much better. So of course this takes the water bottle, like I said. See if I can get it on. I think then again, you can find most of these carriers actually unissued. I don't know if this one was issued or not. As you can see, it fits quite well. As you can see, it covers up the water bottle, whereas this one, the short sleeve, only covers it up just a little bit. And just to prove how easy it gets out, if you hold the bottom strap, look how easy that was. And so that right there is the, if I can do this. So that is the sleeve type water bottle carriers. The final water bottle carrier we're taking a look at is another one from the post-war era. So this is one from the 1950s, not the water bottle itself. The carrier itself is from the 1950s. Again, it's another one of these skeleton carriers. So what I'll do is I'll actually take the bottle out. Again, skeleton style, except this one has a mix of brass. That was at one point blackened brass, and it's either blackened rivets or shieldized steel. So blackened brass, it's a brass rivet. But however, I believe these 1-inch buckles are actually shieldized steel, simply because there is a little bit of rust coming in, if that will focus. Oh, I know what I have to do. The date of manufacture on this one is actually right here. It's pretty clear, if it'll focus. Oh, come on. There we go. So as you can see, there's a catalogue number, AA, the actual number itself, the manufacturer of MWNS Limited, and 1953. And that is really the final evolution of the British water bottle carrier during the course of the Second World War and during its post-war years as well. So then, I hope you found this video informative and enjoyable. It's just, like I said in the beginning, a brief explanation on all the carriers. Of course, if you want to know more information about the carriers themselves and the bottles, I'm going to leave a link in the description to the War Office, which actually shows the water bottle and its covers throughout the years. And I'll leave a link to Kharkee Web for the actual carriers themselves and the catalogue numbers. And without any further ado, I will see you next time.